Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Build Your Oshi, the show where I take your VTuber Oshi and teach you how to build them in Elden Ring. I'm your host, Conla the Kingslayer, and in this super special first episode of Build Your Oshi, we're going to be building my personal Okami Oshi, Sinder, the Hellhound VTuber. Sinder started life as an adorable little hellhound long after the demonic invasion that enslaved most of her kin. Despite this, she didn't take on the demonic appearance most other hellhounds had, and her personality differed too. Rather than punishing sinners, Sinder was cheerful and happy, and liked to make friends with the wandering spirits of the underworld. Others dubbed her the Hellhound with a Heart from Heaven. Okay, so her most recent debut happened after I'd already finished the build, so we're not going to get any of that in-game. Okay? Okay. After being found out by the demonic overlord, Sinder was transformed into a half-human, half-hellhound abomination, and banished to the mortal realm to serve her eternal punishment, walking between two worlds and belonging to none. What the DO failed to realize is that humans love cute anime girls, so Sinder found tons of friends in the mortal realm. Realizing his mistake, the demonic overlord exerted his pressure on Sinder's psyche, channeling her doubts and fears to transform her into something resembling her demonic kin. After a while, Sinder was able to conquer her inner demons and can now use her demonic power at will. Sinder's had a few other transformations since then, but we're going to focus on the important bits, so that means big swords and big fireballs. Our journey begins as the Vagabond class, as that will give us the best stat spread for one-handing the weapon we'll be using later on, as well as enough dexterity to pick up the Flamberge that we'll be using in the interim. Because the Flamberge can be obtained without needing to fight any bosses, and it has innate bleed buildup, it's the perfect weapon for using to power level in the early game. Plus, come on, it's got flame right there in the name. If it weren't for the DLC, we probably would have used this the whole game. The only downside to the Flamberge is actually getting the Flamberge, because for that, we need to go to... More specifically, we have to go to Castle Redmane, which has exactly one site of grace that we need to make it to without dying. Luckily, I'm a professional, and we get everything we need in one go. Usually I do this by going back in, but considering that I'm poisoned right now, might not be the best idea. I don't know if we can survive that fall, but I'm going to give it my best. We're fine. Nothing bad happens. Nothing bad ever happens. Never punished. Streamer luck. Yeah. Time to go back across the bridge because I'm a fool. And now I can't see those. I can't see those. Anyway. In addition to the Flamberge, we also pick up the Flaming Strike Ash of War just outside the castle and the Red Hot Wet Blade so we can apply the flame affinity to our weapon. With this, we can take out Grail and boost our stats up to level 36. From here, we make our way to Liurnia in order to progress Vare's questline, and also to make our way to Altus Plateau in order to initiate the Radahn Festival. The reason we want to fight Radahn before even going to Stormvale is because the main weapon we actually want to use is only found in the Land of Shadow, and we need to beat Radahn and Mohg before we can get there. Because those are the only bosses required to enter the DLC, I challenged myself to defeat just those two bosses in order to ensure the purity of the run. All we have to do to trigger the Radahn Festival is touch down in Altus, so we activate a grace for easy return travel, then jump back to Redmane Castle and declare war. I got this! Nice! Well, we actually did that in one shot. I did not think we were actually going to pull it off. That was crazy. That was easy. Now that Radahn has been defeated, we just need to make our way back to Altus in order to invade Magnus the Beastclaw in the Wraithblood Ruins. This will progress Vare's questline without needing to invade other players online. Shortly after, we collect some Maiden Blood, gross, and then Vare rewards us with the Pure Blood Knight's Medal, which can teleport us to Mohgwyn Palace. Yes.
But you mustn't use it just yet.
What if I did, though?
The meeting must wait until the Mohgwyn dynasty commences.
Oh no, we're not waiting that long.
Slumbers beside the divinity. We must endure a little longer.
Endure. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Anyway. Bye. Chomp. Now, the problem with Mohg Palace is that it's technically an endgame area, meaning it's balanced around characters that are around level 150, and we are currently 1/3 of that. So that's great. To help us out, we did a little exploring, picking up Charlie and Demon Sinder to help us out in the boss fight. Mimic Tear is definitely the strongest Spirit Ash in the game, and lucky for us, it's thematically relevant. Sure, Cinder can't manifest her demon form in a separate body, but you give me a break, man. Ever heard of creative liberties? The boss is hard, okay? Stagger! He's almost dead. Don't panic. That was so fucking cool what just happened. That was so fucking cool! Oh my god! There we go. Level 67. Oh, that was so sick. Anyway, it took us like 6 whole hours to beat Mohg, but now we can access the Land of Shadow. From here, there's merely one major obstacle standing between us and the Shadow Keep. What? No, not Rolana. We can skip her easily. I'm talking about the dreaded Golden Hippo. That's her right there. My Mimic Tear. She's the me that believes in me. No, no, don't. Not into the gaping maw. That's my one fear. His head's clipping into the wall again. Flame! We got it! Let's go! It's fine. I just hate him. Why is he even here? Anyway, now that we've gained access to the specimen storehouse, we can farm for the really big sword that we're using for this build. The Fire Knight's Greatsword. It is also at this point that we are able to farm all of our necessary armor pieces. For all Elden Ring builds, it's important to have a poise ranking of no less than 51. Any lower than that, and even the most basic enemies can interrupt your attacks. But for Build Your Oshi, we value aesthetics just as much as stats, so we're also taking the Fire Knight's armor, the Fire Prelate gauntlets, and the Beast Champion greaves. Oh, yeah, which means we're gonna have to go back and see Bernal. This next move, you might not be expecting.
Not floating your boat, eh?
Kill the shit out of them. Wow, that was crazy.
To be certain, the Volcano Manor awaits you.
I really should have done that ages ago, because that was too easy. Sorry, bro. There can only be one Drip King, and she's a queen. Just check out that Night Maiden twin those majestic wolf ears beneath a classy shroud. Yeah, that's what they are. Sure. Cute. Anyway, now that we're all dripped out with our armor, weapon, and Ash of War... Oh, yeah, the Ash of War. Nice. And Ash of War, it's time to take the fight to the Remembrance bosses. I'm probably just going to leave the script mostly blank for this part because it's literally just playing the game from here until the end. I did actually write that line in the script. That line too. And even this one. Aren't I so funny? I will mention, however, that because we're already pretty over-leveled for places like Stormvale or Raya Lucaria, I did go out of my way to not upgrade the Fire Knight's Greatsword until after we defeated all of the early game Remembrance bosses. Yes, we used the Serpent Hunter for Rykard. I ain't trying to torture myself by standing in the lava. That's not good! I didn't see what he was doing until it was already done. Gotta hit him! That was very fucking close. They were still mostly pushovers, but that also has a lot to do with the weapon class and damage type we're using. Cinder's gone on record saying she's a fan of big, heavy-hitting weapons, which is why we chose the Colossal Sword class. Originally, I wanted to use the good old Guts Greatsword, but once the DLC dropped, I knew the thin and shapely Fire Knight's Greatsword was the way to go. Even the weapon's description notes its slender blade that undulates like fire, and its innate faith scaling works wonders with our fire spells. Speaking of which, we haven't been using too many fire spells so far, but that's because the real heavy hitters are found after reaching the mountaintops of the Giants. Defeating Chief Guardian Aggernathi grants us the Giant's Prayer Book, which lets us learn the big boy fire spells like Giant's Flame Take Thee and Flame Fall Upon Them, which we are definitely going to be using with our new Giant's Seal that boosts their damage. Unfortunately, all that fire damage isn't going to help us too much with the next boss on our hit list, the Fire Giant. Luckily, we've got a triple threat dream team, and this guy gon' hear our name.
Okay. If we didn't pull that out, I was going to be very upset. I was going to be very upset.
Man, boss rush looking a little different today. At this point, we're in the endgame, and only the most difficult bosses remain. That includes base game powerhouses like Malekith and Malenia, but also every single Remembrance boss in the DLC. I'm not super concerned about most of them. I mean, there are definitely some tough cookies, but there is one in particular who's not gonna flinch in the face of our flames, and that's...
Mongrel Intruder. That tarnish, it seemeth.
Messmer the Impaler. Messmer is one of my favorite bosses in the entirety of From Software's library. His design, his moveset, his music, everything is simply peak. The tough part here is in fact Messmer's fire resistance, but that frees us up to utilize some alternative talismans we've picked up on our journey. Until now, we've been using the Claw Talisman, Turtle Talisman, two-headed version once we got to the DLC, Fire Scorpion Charm, and the recently obtained Shard of Alexander from Farum Azula. Since two of these talismans are boosting our fire damage, we can swap out the Shard and Charm for the two-handed Sword Talisman and Ritual Shield Talisman to give us a fighting chance. After a hard-fought battle, we finally find out whose flame burns brighter.
I knew you would target swap to me. I was prepared.
America, a curse upon thee.
The flames of hell burn triumphant. That was fucking crazy. That was awesome.
Messmer's Remembrance is also one of the few we actually exchange for an item, a powerful fire spell much like the Fire Giants, but with a pretty steep faith requirement. Lucky for us, our fire damage and our weapon scale with our faith stat, so shooting for 60 is a no-brainer. After maxing out at level 150, we take the fight to the rest of the bosses. Most of them aren't too much trouble, but Promised Consort Radahn is no pushover, even after the nerfs. Oh shit, I forgot about Malenia. Quick run through the Erdtree, and...
Fucking nice.
Anyway, like I said, Promised Consort is no pushover, so it's a good thing we've got a Colossal Sword, Mimic Tear, and some ranged spells to keep up the pressure whenever we're dancing around those twin greatswords. Even with all this, however, Phase 2 is the real kicker. The Holy Light Beams raining down after every sword swing are really good at tripping me up, throwing off my timing for dodging the follow-up attacks. After a few attempts at tweaking the build through talismans or consumables, I finally came to the conclusion that all we really needed to do was to perform the From Software patented classic move, Get Fucking Good.
Holy fuck, bro. What are we doing? Come here. Come here. Come here! Oh, you motherfucker. Your ass is grass! Let's fucking go! Oh, I was not gonna let him get away with that shit!
And his dad isn't even worth mentioning, except that I would have done him in one try if I hadn't been fighting Radahn for 4 straight hours.
Oh! Well, that was embarrassing.
Our final stats for the build consist of a 50 in Vigor, 30 in Endurance and Mind, 25 in Strength, 18 in Dexterity, 9 in Intelligence, 60 in Faith, and 7 in Arcane. In reality, we could have gone back to Rennala in order to drop that 25 in Strength down to a 22. This would let us keep one-handing the Fire Knight's Greatsword, but would also give us 3 more points to pump into Mind for 1 more Flame Skewer per full tank, or Faith for eking out a bit more damage. With our main talismans including the Fire Scorpion Charm, the Claw Talisman, and the Shard of Alexander, our Fire Knight's Greatsword might as well be a giant delete button for anything that isn't a post-game boss. Even if something does give you some trouble, you can swap out one of the talismans for the two-handed sword talisman to boost your poise damage even more while foregoing spellcasting. Syndra's theming, including her demon form, allows for us to weasel in the Mimic tier as an appropriate summon, and it's far more worth using than our Charlie stand-in, the Rotten Stray. Perhaps we'd have found more use for him if we didn't need to bum rush the DLC for most of the important pieces of the build. Or maybe it's fitting that he's just kinda there. Look at that face. Ain't no thoughts behind those eyes. Well, maybe one thought. To sum up, Sinder makes this game look easy. With a weapon class that dominates poise meters, and a damage type that's literally the antithesis of the whole game. I mean, we used the same fire that Melina lit up the Erdtree with to obliterate innocent crabs.
Heh. Nice!
I'd honestly recommend trying out a Sinder build in New Game Plus to see just how versatile she can be. That's not to mention that Sinder also has a few other lore-relevant forms that would be conducive to NG+, like Frostfire and Heavenhound. One could build toward either of these forms if they're dissatisfied with the way she's been playing so far, or would just like a change of pace. Maybe I'll do a bonus episode for those sometime. S tier for Sinder, although that may be a bit preemptive considering Strength Faith is the exact kind of build I like playing and therefore know how to play. Depending on who we do next, I may have a disproportionately bad time. Speaking of which, if you want to have a say in who we build next, join my Patreon over on patreon.com/ConlaRedleaf. There, you can gain access to polls in order to vote on the next Oshi to build, and even make direct suggestions to me about VTubers I may not have heard of. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. This is an idea that I had a while ago, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring it to fruition. This part's entirely unscripted. I'm just speaking off the cuff here. I really hope that you guys liked it. I'm very much into other VTubers' lore and stories and stuff, and I think that Elden Ring is a versatile enough game that we can kind of play around with this sort of thing. So, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you look forward to future episodes, because I kind of have a lot of builds in the tank. Remember to like and subscribe and do all of that dumb stuff, but seriously, thanks for sticking around to the end. It means a lot to me. I'm bad at writing outros, I guess.